5 Amorite kings from the southern hill country, Jerusalem, Hebron, Yarmouth, Lachish, and Eglon, form a unified front. They mobilize a massive, combined force of foot soldiers and chariots, marching by torchlight to lay siege to the walled hill city of Gibeon. Desperate, the Gibeonites send a runner under the cover of darkness. He races to the Israelite camp at Gilgal to beg Joshua for immediate rescue. This forces Joshua into a sudden, massive defensive war. The alliance of these 5 kings will test how far Israel is willing to go to honor the treaty they swore to their new vassals. Joshua pulls his foot soldiers out of the camp at Gilgal for a grueling all-night march, climbing steep rocky paths into the Judean hills. As they push upward, the environment shifts. In a sudden stillness within the cold pre-dawn wind, Joshua hears a divine reassurance that he will not be defeated. "Do not fear them, for into your hand I have given them." At the very first light of day, the exhausted Israelite army crashes into the Amorite camps. The shock of the dawn assault breaks the enemy lines instantly. The Israelite soldiers have marched through the night without rest. They are already at the limit of human endurance when the natural world begins to move in their favor. The Amorite forces shatter, fleeing westward down the long, jagged mountain descent of Beit Horon. But as they run, the sky churns. Massive, heavy hailstones plummet from the clouds, striking down more fleeing soldiers than the Israelite bronze. Even with the enemy broken, Joshua realizes he is running out of daylight. If the sun sets, the surviving forces will escape into the dark. The text invokes the ancient Sefer HaYashar, the Book of the Upright. Generations earlier, Moses stood before the divine cloud and wrote down the absolute terms of this covenant. The falling hail and the relentless pursuit are the exact fulfillment of that written promise. Mortal warfare and divine intervention are operating as a single devastating force. Standing on the battlefield, Joshua raises his arm to the sky and issues a command that has no parallel in history. "Sun, be still over Gibeon, and moon over the valley of Ayalon." The sun fixes itself perfectly motionless at the top of the sky. The hours stretch on, creating a high, hard noon that simply will not end. Later scholars, like the 19th century rabbi known as the Malbim, described the sheer physical force of this moment on the battlefield. He compared Joshua's command to a strong man reaching out and seizing a massive spinning millstone, forcing it to a sudden, grinding halt. The text is absolute. Never before and never since has God heeded the voice of a man to alter the movement of the heavens. The unending daylight marks this day as a singular event in history. The light remains because the heavens are responding to a human command, holding the day open until the ancient promise is fully realized. Back in the dirt and dust of the canyon, the pursuit continues. The 5 fleeing kings are discovered hiding in a dark cave at Makkedah. Joshua orders his men to heave great stones across the mouth of the cave. As the sun finally sets, the kings are sealed inside a temporary prison, while the Israelites finish hunting down the remaining trees. When the fighting stops, the stones are rolled away. The kings are dragged out into the open, and the Israelite commanders step forward, placing their feet upon the kings' necks before the execution. The awe of a halted sky does not soften the brutal requirements of ancient warfare. The justice demanded by the text is severe and unvarnished. From there, the campaign sweeps relentlessly across the southern Canaanite strongholds. Makkedah, Libnah, Lachish, Eglon, Hebron, and Devir fall one after another. The text lists these victories with a deliberate documentary precision, detailing an uncompromising march across the dry southern landscape. This entire southern campaign stands as the exact, inescapable realization of the divine decree. What was promised generations ago on a scroll is finally executed perfectly in the dust.